first game of our first series. Let's start it off in the bottom right hand corner. That's where the blue Zerg is currently spawning, playing for a freak of freaks. It is ARMANI. In the opposite corner, playing for Dragon Phoenix Gaming, it's the light pink Protoss. Interesting choice of colors. Can he do it? Can he advance to the finals? It is ZEST. Alright guys, starting off a Romanticide. Of course, well-known macro map, very huge distance with the ZEST of course already taking an edge block over here and stopping his opponent from getting his natural, force him into the third. Very common practice nowadays, I'd say, with most of the Protoss players already trying to stop their opponents on their track from the get-go. And ZEST, of course, one of the most proactive players when it comes to disrupting your opponent, is gonna make sure ARMANI takes a little bit more time, taking his third instead of his natural. Just gonna slow him down a little bit, not really too far, but it still can go a little bit against ARMANI if ZEST decides to go for some kind of timing attack or something aggressive. It's probably gonna be a Stargate play, at least that's my call. Very common play nowadays, and of course one of the best way to open against Zerg. As you can see over here, it is a Stargate play indeed, while ARMANI is trying to establish as much map vision and control as possible, since this is probably the only time in the game he's gonna be able to do that. Not really going heavily into link map control, just gonna sit here with his 2 links, which is a uncommon number. Most players like to go for 4 Zerglings or 6 Zerglings. 2 is a little bit more I'd say risky way to play, but it is Romanticide. It is probably going to be a Stargate play. Not really much to say about how ARMANI decided to open, with 10 more Zerglings coming right up just to stop the Adept from getting too much vision. It's gonna be double Adept, of course, and ZEST can probably try to get a little bit of damage before retreating back home. But ARMANI is ready to greet him, losing one overload on the other side of the map. These Adepts find themselves a little bit trapped over here. One of them is definitely going to fall. The other very, very bruised, and he's actually going to fall as well. ZEST losing both Adepts without actually getting anything out of them. And of course ARMANI is gonna go right up for a counter. He's gonna find a Void Ray ready to meet him just outside of the third base. A little bit of more scouting information with his links. As you can see, ARMANI not quite able to establish too much vision. Gonna try to dive right back in, but the Void Ray, of course, gonna stop him on his tracks. One Oracle on the other side of the map getting 3, actually 4 drones, not too shabby, on the side of ZEST. But the Queens will be ready to pull him away. Another Oracle ready to show up. Twilight Council against Ro4. Again, very, very standard follow-up from both players. Ro4 is going to be very helpful in developing those Ravagers. While on the other side, this Twilight Council can mean many things, but probably just going to be used into transitioning in charge and probably a robo play as well. 3 more drones are gonna fall. Good catches by Armani, trying to stop his drones from being killed with a Spore Cancel. It is going to be charged, and it is going to be a Robo follow-up. While ZEST reinforces his third base. With +1, both players, with +1 on the side of ZEST, I mean, of course. Both players look like they want to get into a later stage, into a little bit more of a mid-game army. With the lair going up for Armani. No real upgrades on the side of the Zerg, as we didn't see much happening from these Evolution Chamber yet. It's gonna be a Carapace upgrade, mostly for those roaches to survive a little bit more punishment out of the Void Rays. And Oracles, of course, 7 gateways. A little bit of an explosion on the side of ZEST to double it up on the production. While Armani ready to add all the tech he needs. Roach speed, another Evo Chamber, and more bases to come. These two Oracles find themselves a way to get into the main base of Armani. Stasis were going up. Very, I'd say, not a great play overall. That Oracle is gonna fall. 2 Queens were ready. Another Stasis Ward, another Oracle is going to fall. ZEST not really getting much out of this Infestation Pit. Very, very early on into the game. 7-minute Infestation Pit can mean one of two things: a Hive Rush or a Swarmos. Both are a very unique decision, considering ZEST is already at the doorstep of Armani's base with 2 Archons and a bunch of charge lots. The War Prism is gonna collect these 2 Archons and be ready to get inside the main base of Armani from another position. More High Templars and more Zealots. Here, warping in just a little bit north side to Armani's 4th base. Oh yeah, it is going to be Swarmos. I already love this game, guys. Swarmos on Romanticide without Nidus Network. Oh, that's a risky play. Especially against these many Archons and Zealots. Nidus Network ready to come up just now with Carapace 2. Mostly for defensive purposes, I guess. And Missile Attack ready to finish as well. This War Prism trying to make his way around, and ZEST just doesn't know about the Swarmos yet. Oh, that is going to be close. Oh, he's hiding his Swarmos perfectly, while Armani traps this War Prism, which barely survives. Meanwhile, a bunch of Zealots here at the third base. Armani doesn't really need that third base. He's already maxed out, mostly on Swarmos. He just wants to deal damage right now. Stop his opponent from going too aggressively. Oh my goodness. This Nidus is completely unscouted, as well as the Infestation Pit play. Where is the Infestation Pit? Here, completely unscouted. Here the Roaches trying to clash with the Zealots and everything else. Of course, they're gonna take a huge fight with +2 Carapace being ready. Meanwhile, look, is gonna come right up here at the top left. This base is absolutely doomed. 2 very important upgrades going up right now. Oh, if this Locust can get on top of the Forge, it is going to be huge. The Nexus is going to go down, as well as the Forge. Huge pickup from Armani, who's trying to attack yet another side. Storms beautifully placed on top of the whole army of Armani. But Armani ready to replenish his forces. Beautiful attacks on 2 different sides, and New Knight is probably gonna come up right after. Yeah, here it comes. Not the most beautifully placed one. ZEST trying to clash again at the 4th base of his opponent. Meanwhile, another round of Locusts. Not fully Locusts. Just, I'd say half of them. Because he needs the rest to defend back home. Actually use the mole. That was a little bit of a misplay on the side of Armani. Not much to defend over here. Back home. Locust causing a ruckus on the other side of the map. Catching Nexus again. Almost forcing a cancel. But ZEST relentlessly pushing forward. Oh, I would love to know how much time before these locusts are up. Meanwhile, the roaches dive underground, ready to greet the army of ZEST once more. 13 probes falling on the other side of the map. ARMANI loses his 4th base. Just a little one. But yeah, guys, this is one heck of a game already. Starting off with a boom, I'd say. ARMANI ready to get on the other side of the map, establishing creep in this left side corner. This base is absolutely doomed. ZEST needs to take this opportunity to strike again. +2, still a little bit way ahead of this attack. And honestly, these locusts are being absolutely obnoxious. The cybernetic score almost goes down. Doesn't really go down. These stalkers can be replenished by the warp prism in a little while, but it's so many roaches and ravages. It's so hard to break past this with the current army ZEST as Blink almost done. That's a super duper important upgrade for ZEST to finish another Akontistes network going up in the top right. If this base goes down, ZEST income is absolutely doomed. Another base is probably gonna be cancelled, not gonna be cancelled, just gonna be killed by ZEST. This army is so complicated to deal with for ARMANI, with Blink being done as well. Another round of locusts going in the top left, and these Nexus again doomed. ZEST doesn't manage to be as effective in his attack as he wanted to be. This attack right now though, Storms beautifully collapsing on everything. A Blink forward gets on top of the Ravagers and the Queens. There's not much back home to defend for ARMANI. He's gonna need to sack this base if he manages to replenish his forces and wait for the Locusts. Maybe it's fine, but it's so difficult. Drones pulled up into the fight. This Archon is gonna be killed by drones. What a game is this? Locusts ready to greet the Blink Stalkers. Stalkers, of course, are gonna blink backwards. Not much happening right now. More roaches are gonna come right up with a hype incoming for ARMANI. Just being finished. ZEST doesn't manage to finish the game right here, right now. Doesn't manage to deal the finishing blow to his opponent. And now he's sent scattering with an army of very bruised stalkers. Swarm must get back into the Akontistes network while the roaches trying to fight head on with the stalkers. This is just a huge upgrade disadvantage. 3 in favor of ARMANI. That's a gigantic advantage ARMANI has right now. Another Akontistes network right inside of the third base of ZEST. And look at this Swarm must go. There's no way ZEST can recover from this much economical damage. This Nexus is just coming right up. He cannot replace what he has lost. So many probes falling one after the other. The Stalkers cannot do much. GG gets gold, and ARMANI takes a beautiful game number 1 victory. What a game it was, guys. ARMANI, beautiful play with his Warmers consistently finding damage everywhere on the map, and a very clutch defense with his Roach Ravager army managed to give him this game 1 victory. That wasn't easy at all, considering the state of the game, considering how much army ZEST had at his disposal. But in the end, it's gonna be ARMANI taking the game back home. And quite a heartbreak, considering the little bit of a misplay from ARMANI, not keeping enough locusts to defend back home. But he played off alright. A clutch drone pull just at the right moment to stop the bulky units from ZEST from getting forward. And a very, very confident defense, even working with very few units. We're going on light shade for game number 2, with the 2 players striving from getting into the finals. Alright guys, we're on light shade here in the bottom right hand corner, leading the series 1.20. It's a freak of freaks, very own blue Zer player. Make some noise for ARMANI. And in the top left hand corner is where Dragon Phoenix's very own Red Protoss instead is currently spawning, struggling 1 point behind himself. He wants to make it even here on Lightshade. Can he do that? It is ZEST. This map has been chosen by ARMANI, actually. Which is an interesting call, to say the least. So many things can go wrong so quickly on a map such as Lightshade. But being very confident, ARMANI is gonna try to play probably a proactive game over here. Honestly, I'm more interested to see what is going to happen on ZEST side of the map. I won't be probably guessing another Stargate opener, even though with ZEST, it's actually always more of the same kind of build until he perfection what he wants to do. So, what is there to say? ARMANI playing a very clean game number 1. Really making a statement about this series, honestly. ZEST really needs to come back in full style. Losing to Swarmos doesn't really happen that often. Huge counter to Stargate play, but ZEST had everything he needed. He had Storm, he had Archons. Those are the perfect counters to Swarmos play. Poor scouting is what actually doomed his game in that situation. And he badly needs to come up back in style again to not lose momentum and to avoid his opponent from gaining that momentum I was talking about. His target probably gonna be used for Void Ray and a couple Oracles. Nothing too out of the book, I'd say, for this game number 2. And it is available first. Of course, I wasn't meaning a Void Ray first. It usually comes right second or third after a second Oracle. It could be something different, but I actually guess it's going to be a Void Ray. Just too good of a defensive unit. These 2 adepts getting into the main, gonna get a full scout, and gonna get a couple drones as well, probably. These 2 drones trying to hide from everything. All of the Zerglings are gonna fall one after the other. Meanwhile, 2 drones are gonna fall right here in the third. The 2 queens were way out of position. 3 drones totally killed by ZEST. And Oracle is gonna come right up. ARMANI struggling to face the early aggression out of ZEST. And that is actually not the most weird early pressure coming from the Protoss player. It was just a very standard scouting maneuver. With 2 Oracles right now, let's see what ZEST does. As he did very poorly in game number 1. Who's the best Protoss versus Zerg right now? Stats, Trap, or ZEST? I guess it is ZEST. Even though sometimes it just doesn't really feel like it. Stats comes right close. I don't think Trap is the best one. I really feel like it's between ZEST and Stats, with ZEST in his best days being the best Protoss versus Zerg player, in my opinion. Stats is just overall a little bit more consistent, I'd say. By just being an incredibly good defensive player. 3 Oracles. Talking about stats, this is Stats build with Adepts and Oracles pressure. That's a huge stasis. We're catching a bunch of drones and a queen trapped over here. Meanwhile, Twilight Council and Ro4 going up as usual, with ZEST trying to be even more proactive with his early damage, more drones are going to fall. That's honestly not too shabby on the side of ZEST. That's a lot of kills this early into the game with so little commitment. Oh, oh, that's a lot of links. Alright. Both players trying to catch their opponents off guard, but both players being very careful with their defensive maneuvers. With a blink going up this time, not charge. It's gonna be a whole different kind of game compared to the previous one. ZEST more likely to play some I'd say a little bit of a guerrilla style, while ARMANI likes to go full ham with a bunch of queens, roach and ravagers making their way through the map. Lanes are already there, ready to get us around if Kingdom comes. And over here the queens are finally clashing with the army of ZEST. Beautiful force fields blocking some of the queens out of the way. Ravager piles gonna stop these force fields from getting too obnoxious. Queens transfuses back to full health. And ARMANI isn't really losing anything right now. Zerglings committing to the shield batteries, while the Oracle's trying to stop the Ravagers from getting too much value out of their piles. Not much more energy on these queens. Blink so close to being down. These Ravagers can get a little bit more damage out of those piles. But Blink almost down means that these queens can get nowhere close. The attack doesn't work. And ZEST takes game number 2. That was a little bit of a pretentious attack on the side of ARMANI. Few scouting information and went all in with that queen attack. Not a healthy amount of queens, with those Ravagers getting way too ahead of themselves, getting easily focused by the Oracle. Meant that that attack was going nowhere. ZEST takes game number 2, ties up the score. And it's very interesting right now, because both players took very convincing victories in both the games that were played. And here in game number 3, we're going on Jagannath, which is exactly the kind of map that can easily shift momentum into one side or the other due to how long the games tend to go on this map. Oh, good night, guys. Thank you for being here with us for this beginning of the stream. But it's time for a new game to start and to see who's gonna come out on top this time. Spawning in the bottom left hand corner here on Jagannath. There's a blue Zerg player. Score is tied. Can he take the advantage playing for a freak of freaks? It is ARMANI. In the opposite corner, it's his opponent, taking game number 2 with a clutch defense. Can he do it twice in a row, playing for Dragon Phoenix Gaming? It is ZEST. Sorry, my mic was muted. Anyway, we see ZEST taking the usual natural edge block. Doesn't really gonna hurt ARMANI on a map as big as Jagannath is. is third, easily establishing his early economy. The natural soon to come. And I'm not really concerned about any other two players playing aggressively right now. It's probably just gonna be an average target play. Well, not average, usual, most likely. ZEST is never average. If there is one player who's never average, that is ZEST. Both in looks and in playstyle. But ARMANI wants to make it as tough as possible with his opponent. And probably gonna try to get to late game as quick as possible. PvZ can sometimes be quite a race for tech, with the first player able to get the later stages of tech usually comes out on top. Just for straight numbers of key units, or just for by straight upgrade advantage. Those are two things that go really a long way in this matchup. Usual double adept pressure. Let's see what ZEST manages to do this time. It was quite obnoxious in the first game. That one creep tumor is very exposed. It's gonna go down. No more creep in your base, says ZEST, before shading backwards after getting another link. Oh, these adepts are very trapped right here. Recall gets issued and saves the lives of both adepts, while a Void Ray currently getting started over here at the Stargate. ARMANI trying his best to establish some map control, but ZEST with an Oracle already up is really making it difficult for ARMANI to spread creep and to put real presence in the middle of the map. And ZEST is gonna easily expand to his third without anything to actually hurt him, while ARMANI tries to play this slow game, getting an Evo Chamber, probably gonna get an earlier lair than usual. And it is a second Stargate from ZEST. These links trying to do their best to gain some scouting information, but as you can see, just outside of range of that Stargate, while the Oracle on the other side of the map takes 3 whole drones down into the grave. While a Council and Forge as well, ZEST adding up all the pieces of the puzzle to establish a strong map presence with its double Stargate play, and to get enough ground army to actually be safe from any aggressive play coming from ARMANI. Ro4 is gonna come, as well as Carapace slowing down that lair tech I was talking about. Mostly for the best. With these double Stargate play, ZEST isn't really looking to play too aggressively, with ARMANI being able to slow down his lair by quite a bit. These Oracles zooming through the map right now, ready to take some more heads. Ooh. 2 points ready to greet him, and that Robo coming out of ZEST. This is an interesting part of the game, with two players not really going ham on each other, but racing for tech. And the first time one of those two players is going to strike is gonna be so difficult for the other to ascertain what are going to be the forces that he's going to face. So much tech going on both sides of the map. With Lair just being finished, I'm probably gonna expect almost an instant Hydra then to try and face the target play of his opponent. Even without this much scouting information, he sees the Void Ray, he usually knows what is up, and here comes the Hydra then. Finally an Overseer, making his way into the main of ZEST to try to make sure what is happening. ZEST has already a huge amount of map control creep, well spread by ARMANI, but I'm not really sure if that is going to be enough to stop ZEST on his tracks when it comes to show off his end. ARMANI is gonna take a full scout. He's gonna know for certain what is happening. But just as he does that, 4 Void Rays and a bunch of Adepts with an Archon are gonna show up. Archons are honestly the most deadly part of this. Fighting out of creep. Good decision. One of the Adepts immediately falls. But ZEST needs way more than that to make a dent. With an Oracle showing right here into the main. Revelation being dropped to check what is happening here in the main of the Xur player. And the Warp Prism over here, ready to deal some damage when the time is nigh. Oh well. Are we going to see Queens marching through the map inside some drop alerts? Oh, the drop alerts barely get out of range of that revelation. Queen's gonna stay outside of the range of those drop alerts to avoid showing the hand. And it's going to be a very interesting play on the side of ARMANI, with Queens making their way through the map, as well as a bunch of Hydras. Nidus Network gonna be added to reinforce the attacking position of ARMANI as fast as possible. That's a whole 112 worth of army supply. ZEST as Storm at the ready, flip beacon follow up with a second Robo. But oh my goodness. Oh, that is going to be an interesting play. Once again, Revelation doesn't really show the end of ARMANI, who's hiding these drop alerts. Oh, this one little zealot is gonna see the drop alert incoming infestation pit. There is a Phoenix here to greet those. Not gonna kill that Overlord in time, my friend. You need 21 hits to kill an Overlord with an unupgraded Phoenix. Nidus Network goes up, and here comes the Queen. So much energy on those. So many transfusion can be used, but this is a little bit of a misplay from ARMANI. Not really able to drop the transfusion. Nidus Network is going up. The Worm almost goes up. All of the Queens falling one after the other. And here comes the reinforcements. Another Nidus Network. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, the rest of the other army is attacking. ARMANI losing on every single front. Oh my goodness. Both Nidus Worms fall down. But was this the real attack? I think it was on the left side. But Storms made short work of that. Another Nidus Worm going up. But this attack was going nowhere. Beautiful defense from the Protoss player. And ARMANI Sen struggling. That's still a lot of army on the side of ARMANI. And the carrier is ready to show up and greet the rest of it. Stasis Ward not going to be popped. There's not enough Hydras, I fear. But the roaches are getting right into the natural. Meanwhile, Stasis Ward pops up and blocks a lot of these roaches. Oh, the Hydras really not high enough in numbers. And I think this is going to be the end of the game. No more Interceptors up. But these Roaches and Ravagers weren't quite able to deal enough damage. There is one Void Ray stopping everything from happening. Nidus Worm is gonna add a little bit more Roaches to the party. But the carriers are the real threat right now. Roaches and Ravagers doing their best. 12 probes into the sink. ZEST hugely behind in economy. But his tech is out of this planet. So much high level units to deal with whatever happens. More Queens added to the party. One of the carriers almost goes down, 7 health remaining. But even if that happened, I don't think there was any way for ARMANI to really close out the deal. He's gonna send back home, licking his wounds with 3 Vipers currently in the making. And a lot of Hydras as well. Plus 3 ground weapons incoming from ZEST. These Archons and Immortals are gonna hit like a truck. But of course, the main threat is in the air. With +1 Interceptors really dealing a lot of damage. Lurker then going up as well as a range upgrade. But as you guys are stating in the chat, I really doubt ARMANI has what it takes to come back into this game. ZEST replenishing his forces very quickly, adding up some clutch upgrades like Blink. Lurkers are gonna be very hard to deal with. Armani has a huge economy, but it doesn't really have the pieces of the puzzle to deal with these carriers. ZEST makes his move. ZEST moving through the map. And can he close it out right here, right now? I definitely think so. Huge revelation being dropped of all of the army of Armani. A supply disadvantage against the Protoss army is never gonna work out in your favor. Vipers ready to abduct a bunch of Archons, but that's some huge storms going on the whole of the army of Armani. These Archons are going to fall in the end, but ZEST easily replenishes forces with a bunch of Zealots ready to greet these Hydras. Meanwhile, into the main, Spawning Pool and Hive are going to fall. That means no more Vipers. These Vipers are final for the Zerg player. Vipers go down, and Armani doesn't really have much to defend against the army of ZEST. Relentlessly pushing on creep. This base is going down. One more Viper in the production tab, as well as a bunch of more units. But ZEST takes game number 3 easily. Clutch defense, huge attack. Very good game on the side of the Protoss player. And Armani just doesn't manage to find the damage he was looking for with his Dropalord Nidus double push. We're at game number 4, ZEST at match point. Ready to get into the finals, but Armani needs 2 in a row to come out on top of his opponent. That is a difficult situation to be in. We're on Pillars of Gold for this 4th match. And ZEST really making a statement. 2 wins in a row. Can he make it 3? Oh well, I really think so. ZEST playing like a madman right now. Beautiful late game army strategy with clutch defense. Void Rays really able to stop Armani in his tracks. Here on Pillars of Gold, I don't think the story is going to be much different. I really think it's going to be another kind of Stargate play with Armani trying to stop ZEST from getting to a confident late game army. Oh, let's see what is going to happen. Pillars of Gold. Game number 4. Yes, Storm is definitely OP against Hydras. Alright guys, we're in the top right hand corner. That's where the blue Zerg is currently spawning, and it's 2 in a row to make it into the finals. Make some noise for a freak of freaks, Armani. And in the opposite corner, it's his opponent. Currently match point in his best of 5. It's a Red Protoss. For Dragon Phoenix Gaming, it is ZEST. Alright, another Hutch block coming from ZEST. It really doesn't make too much noise, I'd say. Really a usual play nowadays. Not something that players are not ready to face. It's just a little bit disruptive, not too much. Spawning pool perfectly on time, 116, and probably in the natural he's gonna be up right at 27 drones. Nothing to really shake the boundaries of Armani's opener, but enough to be a little bit annoying, at least. Being annoying goes a long way in StarCraft. If you're not a player, if you're someone who mostly watches StarCraft, you're probably gonna think, yeah, just blocking your opponent's natural is a Zerg. It doesn't really hurt from that, it doesn't really change anything, just that drones need to work a little bit more to establish a stronger economy. It just slows you down by like 2 to 3 seconds, maybe 5 at most. But in the end, just being obnoxious, being annoying, just stopping your opponent from playing in his most comfortable position, it's honestly more than enough to come out on top in most scenarios. As a player, just these kind of things can get very maddening in a long series. Another Stargate play, of course, with ARMANI waiting for his economy to be strong enough to add his defensive tech. A Void Ray first this time, not an Oracle, to be sure ARMANI doesn't manage to establish any map control and or map vision. 10 drones gonna try to do their best while a queen just pops out. That's an interesting sound, I didn't really put too much attention to that. And both of the adepts once again get trapped. ARMANI doesn't manage to find the kills, but these adepts don't really manage to find any scouting information at all. An Oracle follow-up, of course, to be a little bit disruptive. Stop a little bit of the economy from ARMANI from growing up uncontested, which is honestly sometimes more than enough to establish a mid-game advantage. But a lot of lanes are trying to get as much as possible on their own. Maybe get a couple of depths over here. Maybe try to stop these nexus from going up. There's not a huge amount of Zerglings, but they're gonna try and fight over here right at these depths. More depths are gonna be warped in. It means just the two of them are gonna fall. Not much can happen. Meanwhile, over here, Void Ray trying to deal some damage. Not gonna win the battle against the Queen, I think. Oh, it's gonna be close. The Queen manages to shoo that away, while the Oracle over here in the top left manages to swoop in and get a little bit of damage into the fur base, more like natural, of ARMANI. Alright, Void Ray coming right again, this time with a little bit more shields. Gonna get just an overload. It is enough to cause a supply block. But honestly, it's not the kind of thing that is going to hurt ARMANI. ARMANI went for a very fast lair with a very fast Roach Warren, followed up by an Evolution Chamber. He's gonna try to raise that tech, get to the later stages as fast as possible. He's gonna learn from his mistakes. Double Stargates means that ZEST doesn't really have enough to go for the aggression. His Oracle flying in a very, very dangerous position. Oh my goodness. Barely survives. 2 more attacks and he will be done for. But ZEST manages to save it without getting any scouting information, yes. But I think the Void Ray, yeah, the Void Ray saw the lair. And right now ZEST knows what's up, knows his opponent is racing. And I really love this upgrade, honestly. Overload speed, really important to get scouting information even against a double Stargate. Very important if you want to go for the aggressive dropper play. But in the end, it's gonna be mostly for scouting, I think. More roaches and more upgrades coming right up, with ARMANI trying to establish a strong army for a timing attack, I think. That's a lot of roaches in a production tab. That's no 4th phase. Honestly, that's a lot of overloads as well. I really think this is gonna be a very aggressive attack. No revelation. Yeah, revelation into the main. Into natural, sorry. Coming from ZEST. But the queens are starting their march forward. An overseer trying to get the attention of this Void Ray, but the one Oracle flies right over the queens, marching their way through the map. Lots of structures over here. Photon cannons, shield batteries, a lot of gateways. Everything is there for ZEST to establish a good defense. There's no Nani's network to reinforce this position. Queens finds herself a little bit too ahead, but as well as this Arkan, he's gonna be very badly bruised. More shield batteries going up, ready to use that shield battery overcharge to save the day. Can he do that? ZEST, he needs only to defend. Ravagers ready to pile down on top of everything. One of the Valkyrie barely escapes from that rain of piles. So much is happening right now. Meanwhile, into the main, drop alert with Zerglings, dealing so much damage. The rest of the army collapsing here at the third base of ZEST. ZEST losing so much. These Void Rays not quite able to face the queens. There's many more queens compared to game number 1. No more transfusions, no more energy on these queens. Can they break through? There's one Arkan, 3 Void Rays remaining. Shield batteries all out of energy. The 2 photon cannons trying to do their best to stop this army. Is gonna be very close. But in the end, the army of Armani is sent scattering. More roaches coming right up, but there's nothing to face the Void Rays. Both players losing so many pieces of their puzzles. 26 probes killed by Armani's drop alert play. And right now, a Hydra 10 follow-up, ready to deal the finishing blow. +1 in the makings, Armani trying to stop his opponent from ever growing up to the later stages of the game. Storm, is it done? It is done. Storm incredibly good against those Hydras. If Armani doesn't play carefully enough, those Storms are gonna absolutely cripple him. And he's gonna put down an infestation pit, trying to advance to a later stage probably. But currently, ZEST able to replenish his lost probes before Armani can establish a 4th. Honestly, it's hard to say, and it's very painful to say that as well, but even after killing 26 probes, I really think ZEST is still ahead in this game. That's a lot of Storms being up, 3 Void Rays surviving, a lot of Immortals still up. This is a very well defended position, and Armani badly needs more economy to make up for his timing attack failure. It's a very tough situation. ZEST raising tech himself, adding up a flip beacon while the Lurker then is currently being dropped by Armani. That's a very, very close game right now. Even after, I'd say, a pretty successful attack, Armani not really quite able to come out on top, not really able to add what he needed to his army and economy. And now ZEST ready to establish some map control of his own. Just a bunch of units, that's a very risky play. And as all risky play are, Armani is setting up for a punish. Now the question is, can he set up that punish quickly enough for ZEST not to have a critical mass of Skytoss units and upgrade? Or is ZEST going to be just ahead right when he needed to? 7 Lurkers in the making, as well as a bunch of... Oh, poor little roach, why did you kill that Armani? You monster. Comes the 4th Nexus out of ZEST, double carry production easily affordable, while the Sub-Energy scorer is currently researching his air upgrades. These rocks are going down, that's a very difficult position to attack in. That's a huge shock point over here, with a lot of Storms currently up. Changeling gonna get the high ground vision, that's very interesting. So many Storms falling on top of all of the Lurkers. That's some beautiful Storms. The carriers are gonna lose all of their interceptors. Once again, both players sent scattering, losing more than they wanted to. But Armani is replenishing his forces very quickly. If there is one moment he can strike at his opponent, It's currently this. Spore Colors making their way through the map. A lot of creep spread for Armani. That's beautiful on his side with a counter-attack ready to get here at the third base of his opponent. Lots of queens to counter these carriers. 2 more carriers currently spawning though. Oh my goodness. It is going to be close. More storms currently trying to stop these lurkers from getting too close. The Overseer gaining the vision they need, countering a possible mothership that is not there yet. Spore Colors getting very ahead, and these interceptors cannot really get too close with these many queens and these many Spore Colors ready to greet them. Look at these interceptors go down. So many transfuses being used, but these carriers find themselves without interceptors, and it's the time for Armani to march forward. Lurkers making their way ahead. These queens cannot easily dodge those storms without more creep spread. Creep is being spread forward, but the Spore Colors need to make their way forward as well. This is a slow push coming from Armani, and it's a very deadly one. No more storms after these 2. It's the last, no, actually 2 more storms are at the ready. Lurkers and queens falling. Here, in the top left, the attack on the right is just not cutting it. Armani trying to do its best, but these carriers once again have full interceptors plus 3 anti-air. This is going to be so close. Lurkers getting on top of these nexus as well as the queens. ZEST waiting for the right moment, waiting to have enough interceptors. There's not many transfuses up, but there's not many storms as well. Armani slowly pushing, slowly putting creep ahead. Meanwhile, these zealots trying to stop this said creep from getting too forward. That's a huge surround coming from Armani though. These zealots find themselves trapped in so many different directions. 5 probes going down, and now Armani is an incredibly strong army, adding 3 Vipers to the mix. And this is such a difficult position for ZEST to find himself in. 3 more carriers in production. A lot of storms on the ground. I think it's 4 storms currently, maybe even 5. Oh my good. Oh my goodness. Spore Colors setting up to counter these carriers. Armani keeping it up with a slow push, ready to abduct these Vipers, these carriers with these Vipers, once the time is nigh. Roaches everywhere to stop ZEST from getting the pieces he needs, that economical damage he needs. Infestators, my goodness, infestation beat upgrades in the making. I forgot how to talk for a second. These lurkers just ravaging through these gateways. Meanwhile, the queens greeting the interceptors. So much damage, so much healing with the transfuses. Roaches trying to break through forward. 11 probes falling down to this attack. Lurkers marching even more forward. The Spore Colors cannot get anywhere close, but more units are used to be reinforcing this position. Where are the Vipers? Here comes the Vipers. So many storms, so many feedbacks, so many interceptors. Here come the abducts on top of the carriers. These carriers are going down to the queens. Armani losing so much, but so is ZEST. No more High Templars right now. The queens are getting defeated by the interceptors, but 25 probes have been killed. No fourth phase for ZEST. The economy is hugely in favor of Armani. How many Vipers survived? All 3 of them actually survived. 1 lurker still destroying the economy of ZEST. 30 probes down. He cannot be producing more than 1 carrier at a time. And now, just now, +2 air is about to finish. That was so important. Now Neuroparasite is in the making. ZEST making a desperate play forward. Duct on top of the Oracle, stopping him from getting any more vision. Armani trying to set up an attack. Oh, these High Templars way out of position. All 3 of them are gonna fall. Another huge misplay out of ZEST, while Armani seems to be getting anything he wants to. Game number 5 it is, guys, because Armani has got the game. GG gets gold. The score is 2 tied. Oh wow. What a game from Armani. Incredible play on all sides. Just huge attack in the final stages, able to transfuse every single queen, every single lurker just when he needed that, saving all 3 of his vipers for the follow-up, putting him way out of arm distance with those feedbacks, eating only on the queens. Beautiful game. Late game army usage was perfect from Armani. ZEST not able to establish a 4th base meant that it wasn't really able to keep it up with the carrier production he needed. Interceptors falling one after the other. Carriers are very expensive in 2 different ways. They take a lot, in many different ways. They take a lot of commitment in tech. They take a lot of resources to be made. They take a lot of time to be made. So you do need to have more target for them. And those interceptors falling consistently meant that he was spending all of his resources on that. He didn't need a lot of gas income. He was putting all of that into High Templars, but then again he was losing even then. In the end, Armani, all he needed to do was done. He takes the game, and we're in game number 5, guys, here on Oxide. Alright, last game of the series. It's do or die for the 2 players. Let's see who comes out on top. Is it going to be the players here spawning in the top right hand corner? Is he going to make it 2 in a row and get into the finals? Playing for a freak of freaks. It's a blue Zerg. Makes a noise for Armani. And in the bottom left, it's where his opponent is currently spawning. Playing for Dragon Phoenix Gaming. It is ZEST. Sometimes be told to be best. Again, an hatch block. Who would have thought, right, guys? Very, very accustomed to these plays are Zerg nowadays. But honestly, right now, Armani has a huge momentum on his side. He knows that if he gets to the late game, he is able to out-micro his opponent. And that's a mental advantage that can go a really long way, forcing ZEST out of his comfort zone. ZEST, though, is one of those players who really keeps his cool at all times. He's one of those players who you never actually see shaking out of fear or anything. He's always so cold, so calculated in his plays that it's very difficult to play the mental game against him. So let's see if ZEST gets shaken by this defeat, or if he manages to keep his cool and come right on top here on Oxide. So excited for this game. So many things can happen. With a Stargate incoming from ZEST, just keeping his usual plays at the ready. Honestly, it's very hard to make a prediction for this game number 5. Both players winning both the games they won. Honestly, in a very convincing way. Actually, going up in the natural. Nothing too out of the ordinary right now. With a Void Ray opener, once again ZEST wants to try and establish some mob control, stop his opponent from getting vision. Armani, usual play, hiding one of his overlords over here. And ZEST being very careful with the pylon. Oracle second to try and get some map control of his own, as well as these 2 adepts stopping any kind of aggression from coming right here at the soon-to-be third base. Zerglings making their way, trying to stop that from happening. But I guess that ZEST is all he needs to stop this kind of a rush from happening. Oh, little probe finding itself a little bit too far away from home. It's a Twilight Council. Follow Princess. Oh my, wait a second. Wait a second. 4 gates, Twilight Council. Please be a robot glaive at that play. Because I think that's exactly where we're heading right now. 2 more that's being whipped in. Guys. Oh my. Is it glaives? I think it is. And cut. Glaives it is. Oh, the Zerglings actually managed to stop these, to kill these adepts, but they won't manage to stop these from going up. 2 more adepts showing up. That's already a tell for ARMANI. He should already know what is going to happen very soon. He's adding up a layer and 7 more drones. Oh, he's droning up an Annual Chamber. He needs a Ro4 right now. He really does. Ooh. Actually, he already has a lair. He's adding up an Hydroden. That's an incredibly early Hydroden. That's an interesting play on the side of ARMANI, especially with such a good economy. Adding such an early Hydroden. Not the best play against adepts, of course. But being able to get some map control can go a long way. Meanwhile, that's shading just past these Zerglings. Unlucky timing. Oh, yeah, that is a catch. That is a catch for ARMANI. He knows what's up. He definitely does now. But does he have what it takes? 5 Hydras, not what I wanted to see on the side of ARMANI. Yeah. Well. Anticlimactic ending to this series, guys.